we go for episode 18 of ScottCast, the podcast. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things you should be doing because you might have a little bit more time on your hands. My name is Michael Clark, sitting here with Scott Brown. Again, episode 18 of ScottCast, the podcast. Now, you might have, again, a little bit of extra time on your hands. You might have completed all those house projects. So let's talk about some maybe financial tips during this period with some of that extra time. So we want to shine some light on some actionable items that maybe you can do during this period. So, Scott, what do you think people should be doing with their time now?
Well, if it's up to me, you've cleaned the garage for the 5th time and organized the spices in the spice rack.
My closet looks fantastic.
Does it look good? Yeah.
Oh, it's color coordinated and everything. Yeah.
I am sad. I am embarrassed to report that my office still looks as bad as usual. So it's done nothing for me. But I've in the office on our team, we've had a conversation with people about there's a function called Vault in our system that allows a client to download important documents, wills, trusts, estate planning documents, living directives, life and death directives, things like passports. And they can download these things into this place, and it's in one central location. So the example I always give people is I heard a story from another advisor about a client had gone overseas, lost their passport. They called the advisor. The advisor was able to shoot the passport to the embassy, and they were able to get it replaced in a matter of days. So that's an example of that. And what we've been telling our clients, look, you're sitting around doing nothing. You've watched Tiger King, what is it called? Is that what it's called? You've watched every episode of whatever that is, and you got nothing to do. So find your documents, dust off the stuff in the garage or the basement or that bottom drawer, and load it into the vault. You have a trust, or you have insurance paperwork, life insurance paperwork, health insurance, again, medical directives, long-term care. Let's get all that stuff organized. I know oftentimes the client will come in and we'll be talking about estate planning, and they'll say, well, I have some life insurance. And I'll say, all right, what do you got? I don't know.
Right.
I bought a policy 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, probably all of the above. I don't really remember what the coverage is or what the cash value is. If it has cash value, if it's term, I bought it 20 years ago, is it going to expire? This is a good time to make a list for yourself or your children, right? If you have adult children, maybe you can say, hey, I sat around today and I made a list of all my policies, the policy, whatever it is, and also loading that into, in our case, Vault. If you're with another firm, I'm sure they have something similar to it, and to do that. So I actually have been working on some of that stuff myself at the house. Yeah,
and the best way to describe it is digital online online storage. It's secure. It's with your username and password. You can even have dual authentication. How do you say that?
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. However you say that. Where you get the text, to add it to make it more secure. So you can add that layer of protection. But it is basically just digital storage. You can organize it yourself. So you can put your tax returns, like I have a copy of my will, medical directives, have a copy of my passport, a driver's license are up there as well. And then I've also taught my wife how to get into it. So she can then pull that information as well. So it is a fantastic tool that you have access to as a Raymond James client. It's part of client access. So maybe you've been a client for a really long time. We see this quite a bit where maybe we've added 10 services since you became a client.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the easiest ones.
I, by the way, only know about 5 of them, but I'm sure we have added 10. Yeah.
So where you just kind of need to circle back where we've emailed you about it, we've talked about it, but now with this extra time, it might be the time to say, hey, you know what? Let's actually look at that. Get online access. I mean, they can see their account every day. We don't necessarily recommend that, but you can actually see your account change every single night if you wanted to. But again, we're talking about Vault, and it's digital online storage for any document that you want to have access to that you also want us to have access to. So as Scott mentioned, it has been a fantastic tool for children as well. Unfortunately, clients do pass away. And so it is nice to have a copy of the will, the trust, any sort of documents in terms of estate planning or tax returns. And then we've also had a few clients put videos and even pictures into Vault as well. So really the sky's the limit in terms of how you use this tool.
Yeah, it's almost like your own personal cloud, right? It's a place for you to securely, as secure as can be done, store that type of information. As we know, when folks pass away, obviously it's a tough time for everybody involved. And the last thing you want is to be spending hours and hours and hours trying to find documents and get, to help you get the things you need to get done. So I think, again, for your adult children, for folks who have children who are now in their 20s and 30s and 40s and so on, providing them that access that easily is a very kind and thoughtful thing to do as part of your legacy.
Yeah. And while you're cleaning out those documents, we do have our annual shredding event. It always coincides with tax time. Tax time was supposed to be April 15th this past year, but the IRS has moved it and delayed it all the way to July 15th. So if maybe you haven't made your IRA contributions or made that SEP contribution like you wanted to, you still have a lot of time. Also, if you haven't done your taxes, tax return is due July 15th. So we do have an annual shredding event where we rent a gigantic truck, bring it to our parking lot, and then a whole bunch of clients come and drop off documents that they want professionally shredded. You hand it to the truck driver, he tosses it in, machine starts up, and you get to see it shred right then and there. So it's definitely a peace of mind, I would say, for a lot of clients to see the documents shred right then and there. So again, that event is going to be July. It'll be July 18th. It's going to be a Saturday morning. Might be a little hot this year compared to normal.
July in Florida.
But, it is there for you as a resource. We also send that out to members of the community. So it's a free community event as well. It's in our office in College Park. Information will be in the College Park paper and then also through email distribution. We'll also make sure we add it to our Facebook pages just to make sure you know about it, because I know it is still a couple months away. But again, that's July 18th if you want to mark your calendars for our annual shredding party. So again, clean out the garage, take a look at what you have access to in terms of digital online storage. If you have any questions for a future podcast, feel free to shoot Scott an email, scott.brown@raymondjames.com. This was episode 18 of ScottCast, the podcast. Thanks to Vinny in production. We got Ashley over in fact-checking, Jenny over in compliance. So thank you for everything you do to make ScottCast, the podcast, a success.